I've got two interesting texts for you to examine, to read, and to think about this week. The first is a short essay by Brent Staples. It's called Black Men in Public Space. And I'm not so sure these are models, but I thought they were interesting, A, because I think they're really smart, and B, because he uses a story. It's a story of himself. He tells his own experience to sort of make a case, to give a heads up about who he is and how he moves in the world in America. So Brett Staples is a really a useful essay to read, an example of using story to make a point. The second essay is far less known, but I think you'll really enjoy it. It actually came from a blog post by a sociologist whose name is Tressie McMillan Cotham. So in college, when we're talking about text, we often shorthand by using just the last name. So I could say in the Staples text, in the Staples essay, or in the McMillan Cotham essay, in the McMillan. So you'll hear this shorthand in my class, you'll hear it in other classes, and that's how we refer to authors. We use their last names as a shorthand and as a way of respect. It would be thought of as kind of informal and somewhat disrespectful if I said, oh, in Tressie's article. I mean, if I knew Tressie, that would be one thing. But in the sort of public and official space of college work and university work, we refer to authors by their last name. So McMillan Cotham's essay is called The Logic of Stupid Poor People. I think she does a very good job of explaining this phenomenon that people have wondered about. And she also uses story. She uses some narrative examples to make the case. She tells a story about her mother or grandmother, I think, and she tells the story about a friend going for a job interview. So two very interesting essays to read and enjoy this week. They are short, relatively short. They are a great place to look for lexicon words, especially the McMillan Cotham piece. It's a lovely example of both using high technical high diction, what we call the 50-cent words that are unfamiliar but are very specific to explain things. And then both of these authors also use low diction. They use conversational, accessible, language that we would hear on the street out of the mouths of our friends in the hallway, were we ever to walk in hallways again. So in terms of your increasing sensitivity and awareness to words, it's lovely to see examples of writers who use updiction, what I call updiction or higher diction, and lower diction. I think that gives variety and that gives energy to the work. We don't need just big words. I think it's the dance between the specific and the general, the familiar and the less familiar. That's part of where the energy and excitement of lexical variety for different kinds of words. That's a lovely way of thinking about that. So both of the essays are great sources of words for your lexicon. And I think they're also worth fluency writing about. So you have a choice with your fluency writing. You can think about the ideas in the essay. You can write in response. Have you experienced any of the things that they have experienced in the essay? So you can write about your life as focused or directed or bouncing off the worlds of the essay. So you can write about the ideas, but you could also look at them technically. You could look at them. They open up in very weird ways. If you want to become a good writer of beginnings of essays, notice beginnings in the essays that you're reading. And they use they use interesting sentences to get our attention right at the front. How do they end? Are you satisfied that the endings of the essays really sort of wrap it up? And I think it's the case in McMillan Cotham. I think that ending is a really clear, the moral of the story, the lesson I want you to understand, the new learning or perception I want you to have. I think her ending is kind of clear. Staples is, I don't know, it's kind of wanders off. I don't know if that's as satisfying for me. So those are questions you can now be becoming more and more savvy about the work of beginnings and middles and endings as writers. You can also, as you're reading an essay, think about those three parts. Think about, what is this writer doing? Is it satisfying to me or not? So there's lots of different ways of using readings, both as models of writing technique and as representations of ideas that might be worth thinking or reflecting upon. So 2 essays, I'd like you to use each of those. Your fluency writing this week, do fluency writing for each of them. Okay, so just to wrap up all the assignments, you have 2 essays to read and 2 fluency writings. You also have endings to write for number 4 and number 5. And I'm going to ask you finally to post one of those essays, whatever essay you think is the best essay in completed 3 parts, beginning, middle, end. I would like you to post that at the end of the week onto the discussion board so that everybody can read it. I have a special surprise for you for the following week. So it's going to be kind of, how shall we say, exciting or intense or a big project. So this week's work is kind of light. It's a great week for you to sort of get caught up and to slow down as you're writing the endings of these essays. But next week, we're going to have a pretty heavy and intense writing week. So put that into your planning. Okay, guys, see you next time.